Hello and welcome back to whatever this podcast is. I still don't have a name for it, but today we've got a nice treat for you. We have the one and only. Um, I don't know. I think let him introduce himself.
Yes, hello, listeners, and welcome back to this podcast. His name we don't know yet, but my name is Gideon Mpungu, and I'm a friend of Martin, our host. I've been a friend of his for the longest time, and today we're here to talk about technology, entrepreneurship, and sustainability, and how the three of them can, coexist and work together to, make a better society. And I hope you guys enjoy and, send us some comments after you listen to this. And hope to see you next time. All right, Martin, let's jump right in.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of, I remember. I don't even remember how we met. Honestly, I think it was Joel, a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And I remember sometime we used to we were fighting for a seat.
Yeah. We were fighting for a seat back in, was it senior one? Yeah, I
It was
think so.
funny. It was funny. It's crazy, But being kids, kids are funny. Kids are dumb.
Yeah, being kids and we were so much alike, like we both wanted to take whatever we wanted. Like when we saw something and we wanted it, we wanted to just take it. And that was the problem between us at first, like
Yeah,
nobody would ever give up. And, that was the problem. And then it became the thing that we heard in common. And that's why we've been best friends ever since. And it's
yeah.
been a wild journey.
You can't have two go getters in one situation. They're all gonna try and go get it.
Exactly. But we sort of eventually found a way to make it work. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I still remember we spent almost 3 years, 2 years without talking.
Yeah, I remember that. Like that was, senior four, senior five, I think. Senior three and senior four, was it? Yeah, well, we weren't talking because something stupid actually. But it was still because, we were both, like a better word, alphas, like you can't have two alphas in the same pack, but we were both always alphas. So none of us wanted to be the guy that wanted to come up first and, nothing was right.
Honestly, I feel like that was just a bunch of dummies. It's just being a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, we've been together. We've been together. We've known each other for quite a long time, and I think after high school is when we parted ways. I moved on to to come and join the aviation side, and then you went into entrepreneurship. So
Entrepreneurship and technology. Yeah.
yeah, so what gave you the idea to start your company and just talk us through some of the what's the word? Talk us through some of the thought process, um the fundamental side of things. Like what exactly helped you, or what was your mindset going into this?
So to give you a bit of a background, I don't know if you remember, like back when we were still like kids, back in senior two, senior three, we wanted to be pilots, right? That's all we could talk about. We're going to be pilots, but then
Yeah, that was
in
me.
senior five, yeah, at some point in senior five, I realized it was going to be too expensive for me. Like I come from a family where I have a lot of siblings, so I realized I was probably not going to become a pilot, but not right away at least, because we still have a plan where you have to be my instructor at some point.
Oh,
That has to
definitely.
happen. Like I realized it wasn't going to happen as soon as I thought. So then, what was the next best thing for me? Everybody wanted to be a civil engineer, that engineer, but that was never me. Like I was always just my guy in the room, but like being an engineer, I didn't want it to conform to all these stereotypes where you do PCM, you do PCB, and you are supposed to become this or that. So like the next big thing for me was technology. So I choose to become a computer scientist, or I just those 2 years, senior five and senior six, I worked to becoming a computer scientist. And when the university list eventually came back, I got in it because it's what I asked for, and I went to university. So in my very first year at university, I think it was the second year me and you were apart. At that point, I guess you were just starting your aviation career, and I was starting my computer science undergraduate degree. So I meet this guy called Martin Tumasime. He comes from Hoima, right? He done his high school in Kawempe with his aunt. And, he was an interesting guy, like he was the only person that I'd met that was sort of like you, like me and you always spent a lot of time together because everybody else in the room didn't get us, we were always like kids because we always had these ideas, these secret languages, if you remember in Senior 2, so we were these guys were very creative and, like everybody else around us was ever stupid or boring. Then I meet Martin, like, and another Martin. Funny enough, like it's ironic. I meet another Martin in my first year of university, and he was just as interesting. Like he was a go-getter. He had all these ideas, and like he just tickled my brain. And we are in the same group. Like they make these groups the first year of university because they know none of you know each other that much yet. So the lecturer makes groups for you, and so we put in the same group. And it's usually a group of like 8 to 10 people, but everybody knows at university in a group of 8 to 10, there's only like 2 to 3 people that actually do the work.
Oh yeah,
everybody else just
you just chill
and presents and writes signs their name and something like that. So me and Martin are doing the work, and we just keep on talking, and then he tells me about this idea, right? Like he's seen a problem in West management, and like he doesn't know what to do about it, but now we're doing computer science, can we come up with something about it? And back then, it was just the first semester of university, so we didn't really give it much thought. We just wanted to get through the first semester and have as much fun as we could. But then at the end of that year, fast forward to the end of that year, I think it was the end of 2017, or actually mid 2018, end of my first year of university. Around June, we have what we call a recess semester in computer science, where we don't get to go home, but we stay at school and try to learn practical skills. Like my computer science degree, my lecturers try to give us as much hands-on experience as possible. So they have this recess semester where we learn things like Android app development, web application development, desktop application development, and those 3 are very different things. A lot of people think they're the same, but they're very different things. Then there are embedded systems and artificial intelligence. So we learn all those things, and at the end of these 2 months research semester, you're expected to come up with something, a product, a prototype. What in the entrepreneurship world we call a more minimum viable product, like something that somebody can use and see the idea that you're trying to sell. You get it? So we, me and Martin meet again, and I'm like, okay, Martin, I remember in the first semester ago, you had an idea in West management. So how about we try to come up with a solution for that, right? How about we try to come up with a mobile application with the skills we just learned, and come up with something out of it? And it was like, yeah, sure. But then they wanted us to form groups of 4, where one of those people was a girl, because like there are not a lot of girls in computer science, and not a lot of boys want girls in their groups, because like there's this stupid idea that girls are not equally as good at computing as the rest
stereotypes,
of us. They're just as good, like. So then you remember Brenda, right? We're going with Brenda to Mango Senior School, so of course I choose her to be part of the group. Then there is Rogers, remember Rogers? So I'm like, let's just form this group of 4 and see what to do. And we do this this application. Like if you see the iOS app right now and the app we had back then, the Uber for West, they look nothing alike, because that's the journey of an entrepreneur. You keep on pivoting until you get to something that's usable by your users. So like we come up with this simple prototype, and like our lecturers like it, and we do get the A that we were looking for. And we weren't even the best idea. Like if you talk to our lecturer, Baina Magisha, right now, because eventually, like first forward to a year later in 2019, when we were applying for our very first grant to UNDP to get our idea off the ground and try to make a better prototype and try to get people on the team to get it off the ground. One of the things that UNDP was afraid of was that it was a bunch of kids. Like back then I was 19, Brenda was 19, Martin was the oldest, he was 22. So it was just a bunch of kids. So like they were like, how do we give $10,000 to a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds? How are they going to handle it? So they go to Macquarie University and they meet Professor Bynum Gisher, who's been like our mentor from the very beginning. And he tells them this, that, I've been with these kids from the very beginning, and they didn't even have the best idea. They didn't even have the best app. They didn't even get the best marks. But what I've seen with them is that they're in love with what they're doing and they've stuck with it. And that's one of the most important aspects of an entrepreneur. You've got to love what you do,
Yeah.
because trust me, there's going to be a lot of challenges like every day, but you got to stick with it. So we stuck with it, and we got that first grant, and then we applied for a grant to Macquarie University as well. Like there was just seed funding, and we got it, and we just started spending money, like getting people on the team, getting a better product. That's how we got one of our co-founders, Enoch, on board, because he was like better at Android app development than the rest of us. So we got him on the team, and we set up, and the journey began just like that. We were just at our company in 2019, and here we are today. Like we're a company, like a startup that connects, households and or you can say waste generators to waste collectors and recyclers, and the process we earn money from it. In the process, we did good for the environment, and in that way we contributing to sustainability and a greener future. And yeah, that's been pretty much the journey, and that's been the thought process. Like everything worked, like just worked out because we were committed, because we met like-minded people, and because we were in love with what we were doing. And it just got us to where we are today.
Oh, that's very nice to hear. It's always nice
Yeah,
to hear something like a story that someone's passionate about, and I can really see you're passionate about this. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. And looking, I know nothing about computers at the moment. I wanted to like put my feet down, just dabble my feet into like app development. But after a few a few lessons online, I was like, fam, this isn't gonna
yeah,
work out. Because it's a lot more complicated. Actually, you know the saying, they say pros make things seem a lot easier than they are.
I know. You watch these videos, and these guys are like, you do this, you do that, and you're done. It's pretty easy, but then when you try it, man,
Yeah, but as
it's
soon as
not
the
that.
yeah, as soon as the video ends, it's just done. Like that's it.
Yeah,
You're not gonna do anything.
yeah,
Yeah, because I did try. I put in a little bit of downloaded some programs here and there, signed up for some things here and there, and nothing came out of it.
yeah. I'll have to give you some in-person lessons when we work together, and
Oh, definitely,
we'll see how
definitely.
we can go from there. Yeah,
Yeah, we can do like a crossover. Like I teach you a little bit about flying here, and then you teach me a little bit about coding there.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and but the rate at which technology is exploding at the moment is for lack of a better, it's actually terrifying. Eh? It's there's I mean I'm very optimistic. I love where everything is going. Like a lot of artificial intelligence driven programs. I see self-driving cars are on their way out. And I'm
Yeah,
actually worried that that in the next 10 years or so, I'm going to lose a job because these things are going to be flying themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, so I want to see what do you think about that? Like, are you excited or are you more on the excited but a little bit
Yeah. So as a computer scientist, of course, I'm definitely excited. Like the future hasn't been any brighter than it is today, because like every day new technologies are coming up. Like the generations are becoming smarter and smarter. So like we have, like you said, AI, we have like cybersecurity, we have data science, we have virtual reality, augmented reality. We have all these new things, the metaverse, this and that coming up.
oh
And
yeah,
it's
the metaverse,
exciting
huh?
for a person in technology like me, but like for realists like me and the pessimists like me, like a self-pronounced pessimist, like that's very worrying as well, because like right now, like I told you previously, I'm trying to like really like hone my skills in cybersecurity, because like I figured in technology that's the one thing that calls to me, like being like a pen tester or a cyber engineer or something of the sort. So like I've been really spending a lot of time in cybersecurity, teaching myself skills, watching a lot of videos, doing hacking into a few machines online, like doing the usual. But like it's scary out there because the more these technologies are being developed,
Mm.
the worse it's getting for cybersecurity engineers because like there is not enough people defending their systems because like when you look at software engineers,
Yeah.
usually their goal, like the thing at the back of my mind of their minds is usually to make the next big thing, right? I'm trying to make the next Facebook. I'm trying to make the next WhatsApp, like the next Amazon, the next Tesla, like they're trying
Yeah.
to make the next big thing and they're not really conscious of what the consequences of that are going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because like if you want to make the next Facebook, you have to look at, okay, what is the biggest problem the current Facebook is facing?
Yeah.
It's privacy, isn't it? Like people's privacy. Like there's been all these, like sermons for Facebook, all these leaks from Facebook, and all they have to do with is security and privacy. People's data are leaked. People are exploited and for ads and money and all that, and that's a problem. So, like,
And
if you're trying to make the next Facebook, the question you should ask yourself is that how can I make the next product secure? And I think that's the thing that we're missing for people that are trying to innovate right now because the things are shifting. Like in the past, people only cared about technology. What makes my life easier? Right.
yeah.
That's why people jumped on trains like WhatsApp because it made communication easier. You could just text somebody and like you're in South Africa, I'm right here, but we could have a voice call and it could be like very clear without having to use, international calls that are expensive. I could just
Yeah.
use my mobile data. And then Facebook, because you could connect with anybody anywhere in the world in just a second. Then there are all these things like Instagram where like gain a number of followers around the world, make money on TikTok by just posting videos, all these technologies. So like, but like that is a thing of the past now. People are no longer looking at things that make their life easier because they already have those things. So
Yeah.
for this new generation, when you're developing a technology, what people are looking for is security, is privacy, is data integrity, it's confidentiality, which in the IT world we call the CIA. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So availability is already there, but people are now looking at the confidentiality and integrity aspects. Somebody wants to know that, okay, if I'm using this new app and I send somebody a message, how am I sure that nobody else, like at no point will anybody else ever see this message? Because we see all these leaks where like, you see in the US that, okay, this senator sent this message to this person and now it has been leaked. It was sent through WhatsApp, it was sent through Facebook, and now these text messages are being leaked. So if you're trying to get this person to stop using Facebook and use this new platform that you've developed, what's your value proposition? That's what we call it in entrepreneurship. What's your new value proposition? A value proposition in entrepreneurship is something that makes you stand out from your competitors, right?
Yeah.
Because you can say that, okay, I'm trying to connect people to people around the world. I'm trying to make communication easier, but there are already like hundreds of companies that are doing that already. So what's your unique value proposition from the people who are doing quite the same thing that you're doing? Because like in entrepreneurship at this point, it's hard for you to say that I've come up with something that nobody else has ever done before. Think about it. It's very hard.
It's gonna be difficult. Yeah.
Because like everything you're thinking about, like there is somebody out there that's doing it. You just don't know about them yet. That's
Yeah.
something that we usually do. Like when we working on our business model canvas, when you're talking about your competition, if you're pitching to investors and you tell them that I don't have competition, you're not going to get that investment because that just means you've not made enough research. Because if you do make enough research, you'll find out that there's somebody that's doing something that's similar to what you're doing or close to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to come up like okay, you can, but it's very hard for you to come up with something and say that this is completely new. Nobody has thought of this. No, everybody's smart right now. So
Nah,
what makes you stand out?
definitely.
So what makes you stand out is that unique value proposition. What are you doing better or different from your competitors, right? And let's say you come up with a new Facebook. I think for a person that wants to come up with a new Facebook, how are you ensuring that people's privacy is maintained, that people's data is not exploited for ads, that, like people's messages are secure, that they'll never be leaked? Like security, privacy, that integrity, how are you going to maintain it? That is the question for a person that's developing a new Facebook. That's the unique value proposition that you would be able to sell. So like for any aspiring entrepreneur out there, because like right now, for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to sort of know how to, like use technology, right? So for any tech person out there, you should know that for you to become a successful tech person, you're supposed to be an entrepreneur at some point. Because look at all the tech moguls we have right now. Look at Steve Wozniak, look at Steve Jobs, look at Mark Zuckerberg, look at Elon Musk, Bill Gates, the likes. All of those people are computer scientists at some point. But as a computer scientist, you can only do so much. Does that make sense? You can only do so much. Like your skills can only take you to a certain level, to a certain point. You can only make a prototype, and then you're supposed to pitch it to people and get the help you need. Because in the computing world, there is people with a lot of different skills, right? You can't do everything. That's a reality you have to accept when you come into the computing world. You just can't do everything.
I don't think it's just in the computing world. Everywhere. There's no way.
Right.
Yeah, you can't just do anything.
It's everywhere.
Everything, sorry.
Exactly. So you just have to choose. Am I going to be a software engineer? Am I going to be an app developer, a web developer? Am I going to be a cybersecurity engineer, a systems engineer? Like, you just got to choose what you got to do and then come up with a prototype, look for money, and then get people on your team that can help you do the rest of the things you can't do. People that complement you, people that complement the things that you cannot do, that complement your weaknesses and your strengths alike. And once you get those people, eventually you won't even have to like do anything tech related, because I can promise you right now, at your waist, I hardly even touch any development, right? That's why I'm doing all these security things on my own, because at your waist, I don't even touch app development at all, because like that's not my job anymore. Because as one of the co-founders, your waist, I transitioned into a role of management. And as you can see, all these people out there, like, you don't expect Mark Zuckerberg to be like, like looking into the PHP code for Facebook at this point, do you? No. Like, you don't expect Bill Gates to be looking into, what are we going to fix in the new release for Windows 11? No, he doesn't do that anymore, right? Yeah. These guys are just sitting on the board and being entrepreneurs at this point. Because like as a tech person, for you to be successful, you got to have a product that's able to sell itself, and then you become an entrepreneur. And that is what I'm working to right now, right? So that's it for all the state people out there. Like, first thing you do, this is like, let me work you through a small process. First thing you do is that you think of an idea, right? There is a common misconception among entrepreneurs, among computer scientists, among people that are trying to innovate, innovators as a whole, that, okay, I have this very amazing solution that I'm coming up with, but things don't actually work like that. If you remember the story I told you, we first identified a problem and then said, okay, how can we use technology to solve this? And that's how the process is supposed to go. First, you identify a problem, and then you say, how do I solve this problem, right? That's my advice to any aspiring entrepreneur out there, any innovator out there. First of all, you identify a problem and you say, okay, what is the problem? This is my problem. How can I solve it? First of all, you even try to solve it without using any technology. You say like, okay, can I just use an Excel sheet and have people call me? Sign up these people in an Excel sheet and have them call and give them manual calls and, deliver the product manually.
Yeah.
If that works out, then the next step would be, okay, how do I try to automate some of these processes? And that's how the technology aspect comes in. Then you develop a prototype. Then you try to automate more and more of this process, and then eventually you come up with a mobile application, a web application, a desktop application. And then you put it out there, right? Because some people usually have developed a technology and say, okay, I want this thing to work to perfection, and then I'm going to have people use it. No, that's not how things work. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to to make a minimum viable product. That's why they call it a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
Something that you think people can use, right? Something that you think, okay, what's my unique value proposition? What's the thing I want people to be able to do? Let's say I want to be able to sell music online, right? I want people to be able to come and sign up. And then with application, my minimum viable product is just supposed to allow people to come and request for a certain album or a certain song or a certain single. And then I'll give them access to that song initially. My application should be able to just do that. Let's first forget everything else that's fancy. My application should just be able to do that unique functionality. And then after it's able to do that, I look for friends. I look out for Martin, for Gideon, for Hope, for all these people in my circle, for Lynette, for Rogers. I say, okay, can you try out this application? Can you try out this prototype and tell me what you think? And the next quality of a good innovator, you have to have an open mind. I was watching that last documentary you put up talking about your journey, and the one thing I liked about that is you say you learn to be open to criticism, right? To be a listener and not a speaker, right?
Yeah.
And that's very important attribute for an entrepreneur, for an innovator, because there is going to be a lot of criticism, even from people around you, and that criticism is good because that criticism builds you and builds your application. So when you put it out there from your first test users, tell them to go wild, to be honest, to tell you, then people tell you, okay, this application is shit. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. You're you could do better. If you're a rigid person, you'll probably be okay, you can't even do better. Can you do better? You don't even know how to code. Ask Martin, okay, Martin, what should I do better? How do you think it should work? Because if you identify that Martin is supposed to be one of your users, Martin is interested in music, So you're okay, Martin, how do you think it should work? How can I do better? Yeah. And then just listen to him, listen to him rant, because people rant, trust me. Just listen to him and write everything down, and then or record and ask him if you can record the conversation. Then just go back and listen to it, or read to what you've written, and try to implement their criticism, because trust me, it's more advice than it is criticism, because these people at the end of the day are going to be the people that are supposed to use your product, right? So if you're developing your product for you, nobody will use it.
Yeah.
So you should be developing your product for them. That's why when you're going through this process of development, you should involve your users as much as you can. That's why I said at first, try to do this whole process without even the technology. Try to involve them and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. I want Martin to have a sample of this music. So I'm going to call him and ask him, okay, Martin, would you be interested in a free album, or would you be interested to pay for an album? And Martin would be like, yeah, sure. So I'm okay, I'm going to register in an Excel sheet. And then I'll send you a link via WhatsApp, and then you'll be able to access my music.
Yeah.
Sounds simple enough, right? Anybody can do that. And if it works and you have 10 people and all of them go and listen to your music, then you're okay, how am I going to automate this process, right? So I'm going to have an application where Martin comes and downloads the application, signs up as a user, then they request for a particular album. They get to see all these different albums, they request for a particular album, then I'll give them access. You launch, then you launch again, then you launch some more, and then some. Because you keep making changes and changes and changes to this application, to this technology, or to this solution. Because an innovation doesn't necessarily have to be an application or any kind of technology. No, it can be something physical. It can be a new kind of, wheelchair, a new kind of walking stick, whatever it is, new kind of, pair of sunglasses, pair of reading glasses, whatever your innovation is, just make sure you involve your users in the process. And if you do that, I promise by the time then you can monetize out there usable. And once it's usable, monetize your application, or to monetize your innovation. And once you monetize once it's monetizable, that means it's working. So like people come into the sector usually because they're like, okay, Bill Gates has made all this money, right? He's a billionaire. So Martin wants to be a billionaire as well. And that's usually the wrong way to see this.
Yeah.
Because like at the start, when you listen to Bill Gates' story or when you listen to Mark Zuckerberg's story or any of these guys' stories, at first they weren't looking to becoming billionaires, right? They weren't trying to become like multi-billionaires. No, they were trying to solve a problem. So as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, you're supposed to look at it the same way. They're like, okay, what problem is eminent right now? Like, I'm in this sector and there is this problem. What can I do about it? And if you can solve that problem for people, you know it's ailing this number of people. You know it's ailing 1 million people in South Africa. You know it's ailing 1 million people in Kampala and 1 million people in Lagos, 1 million people in, like Chicago. And you can find a solution for that problem to help those 1 million people. If you can do that, then the money will come. You don't even have to look for it. Because if you're able to solve that problem for that many people, for those people, then everything will just follow up. You get people that want to join your team. You get all these investors. The money will come. That's just my advice.
That's something my dad used to tell me all the time. He'd be like, if you put in the work and put in the effort, and if you're really passionate about it, the money will just be a side product. It's gonna be a side product of the effort that you put in.
Yeah.
But if you go in looking for the money, then it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
And you probably might end up just swindling some cash or stealing people's money instead of developing your skill or your product or whatever it is.
True.
Yeah. And going back to the criticism thing, I remember it was we're playing soccer for, I remember I used to be a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
So I was playing for Edgar's FC, right? EFC. And I remember sometime in the middle of the game, once again, my dad came over. And since this game was tough, these guys played us. We just held on. But when we went to after the game on my way home, he was like, she was explaining how criticism works and how so many of these players were not getting the point. So he was like, for example, if you're standing and you play a bad pass, right? And as one of the opponent steals the ball and goes and scores a goal, and the coach shouts at you, he's like, "Hey, look here, you idiot! You can't play a simple pass. Didn't you see this guy here? You're such a dummy. You can't see, right?" And he was saying there's two types of people, right? There's the person that will listen here, you idiot, and they'll just get pissed. Be like, this coach, who does he think he is? Why is he calling me an idiot? He's on the sidelines. He can't play. Why is he doing this? You see? And they close off to all the criticism. And then there's a person that will dissect that message. Look here, you idiot. I mean, of course, we're going to understand that the coach is angry. He's mad. But if you listen to what the coach said, he said, look, you can't pass the ball here. Look, this guy was open. And you see, like, oh, okay. In that situation, I should have done the opposite. I should have passed to this guy instead of this guy. And then just forget about the rest. You will be so much better than the other players that take things personally.
The next time, just do better. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And that advice actually applies to like every area, like wherever area you get criticism, that advice applies. Yeah.
I see so many friends of mine, especially here in aviation, sometimes it's very stressful because when you're instructing, lots of people are trying to kill you, like strangers. You get into a plane with a stranger and they're just trying to kill you the whole time.
Yeah.
So I understand how some instructors can get to a point where they're just frustrated. They're so angry because, it requires, like being a teacher in general requires a lot of patience. And
a lot, yeah.
But this time, your life is also on the line if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. So I see lots of students coming after a tough flight and they're mad at the instructor. Like, this guy, he doesn't listen, or she doesn't listen, or she's just abusing me for nothing. And You're like, why? What happened? They're like, oh no, I almost went into the grass. And you're like, okay, didn't you see what you almost did? You almost went into the grass. And maybe the way the
Yeah, how do
instructor
you
dealt
expect
with
them to
it,
react?
exactly, maybe it was a little bit over the top. But if you to break it down and look at it objectively, like this is where I made the mistake.
Yeah.
And then take steps to prevent going into the grass the next time, you'll be a much better pilot or a much better student than someone that looks at the instructor saying all these expletives, all these words, and they just close and
Yeah.
they're like, ah, screw this guy. Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking
Yeah, and
about.
actually, like you could also ask yourself, like, apart from him screaming at me and all that, what else did he say? You know, because
Exactly.
he probably said something else, but like because you're only concentrating on the fact that he was screaming at you, that he was abusing you or like cursing you, you probably missed everything else. But your instructor was probably saying some other things while screaming at you. So you gotta ask yourself,
Definitely.
like, apart from everything else, apart from all the noise, what else was he saying? And that's the most important thing because, like, what he was saying is probably going to help you next time.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, next time you probably won't try to drive, like fly the two of you into the grass if you listen to what he was actually saying.
Yeah, you want to go into the grass.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. I've seen so many people take trips into the countryside, especially at the airport, and it's crazy. I always feel bad for those instructors because at the end of the day, it's on you. It's not on the students, it's on you.
Yeah.
But besides, what was I talking about? Oh. Yeah, that's just most of that's the biggest issue that I see. And you know, sometimes, and I know we're going more into the aviation side, but sometimes some of these instructors you find they just like they just here for the hours. They don't care about students anymore.
Yeah, he's just here to build the hours,
Yeah,
make
build
4,000 hours and get out of here.
and bounce. And
Yeah.
those are very dangerous because those ones will be like, oh yeah, it's fine, move, let's go, it's fine.
Yeah, those people are, and they're, people like that are dangerous everywhere.
Ah, very
Like they're
dangerous.
dangerous in education, they're dangerous in entrepreneurship because they're just trying to come here and get theirs and then
Yeah, get
just
the
bounce.
experience or whatever, the cash and bounce.
And there are certain, like, things in this ecosystem where people are supposed to be passionate about what they're doing. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you're supposed to be passionate about it. You want to become an innovator, you're supposed to be passionate about it. Because if you're not, you want to become, an instructor in aviation, you're supposed to be passionate about it. Because if you're not, then you're going to end up hurting people. You
Yeah,
might end up, like misleading your student, and the student might, like crash the plane at some point because you just weren't paying attention. If you're an innovator and you're not paying attention, then you may make a product that's going to affect people,
yeah,
because
exactly.
you didn't pay enough attention. Because a lot of products we make affect people one way or the other.
Mm.
So you just got to be passionate about what you're doing. So, like, I think that's how we can summarize with these things. You got to be able to take criticism. Like, take criticism, like listen to what this person is actually saying to you, because this person is actually saying something to you. You're just not listening because you're just looking at the face of him screaming at you, of him cursing at you. Like, people have different ways of expressing themselves. First might scream at you, they might curse at you, call you an idiot, like call you a damn ass, but like they actually have a message for you. So just be able to work through the criticism and learn from it, right? Then be able to, then you should also be passionate about what you're doing. Like, if you're not passionate about something, don't go ahead and do it in the first place. Because if you're not passionate about something, then somebody's just gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
So just look up for something you're passionate for. Don't do something just because of money.
Oh yeah.
Like, things don't work like that. Do something because you're passionate, and then money will just come after that.
You know how I've been making music for a while now, and I've met up
Yeah,
with so many different kinds of musicians, right, on the way.
exactly. Uh-huh.
And I remember this one time I met up with this one kid, very, very passionate about about music, but
Mhm.
um, there was no talent. Like nothing. There was nothing. He just loved music, and you could see he was trying his best. But there was no time. Now, what do you do for someone like that? Honestly, do you just tell them, "Hey, listen, do you try something else, or maybe go back and learn how to sing or something like that. I know it sounds terrible, but there's
Yeah, yeah,
points.
I know. And
There's
like I've interacted with people like that in my short career so far.
exactly,
Because like since we started this company like at 19 and now like we're what 23, like it's been a long journey in just a few years, right? So like you're eventually going to have to deal with a lot of people like that, people that are enthusiastic, that are passionate about something, which you can clearly see that it's not going to work out.
yeah,
So for people like that, what you got to do is, give constructive criticism, right? Sit them down because you know they're passionate about this thing. Like, okay, this person is passionate about music. They can give everything. They can let go of school. And those are the kind of people that can even drop out of school for music.
oh
People
yeah,
that are
yeah,
that passionate, but they don't have the talent at all. So just give them constructive criticism, like speak to them, like try to show them instead of just being blunt, because if you're blunt for a person like that, you don't want to lose that person, right? You
yeah.
don't want to feel that passion in them. So don't just be blunt with them, but just try to be constructive, just try to be helpful and beat around the bush a little if you can. Like try to aim them somewhere else, but in the same ecosystem, if that makes sense. Because you can look at a person like that and tell them, okay, you love music. Music is your thing. You live for music, but you can't sing. But
Yeah.
okay, can we try to find out if, like you can redivert this person to maybe producing or maybe playing an instrument or maybe training other people how to sing or like, just try to redirect
That passion.
that passion to something else,
Yeah,
but not just shut it down. Because if you shut it down, those are the people that just end up, like becoming thugs because somebody crushed their dreams.
yeah. You have
And
nothing
it's just like,
left.
okay, what else can I do? Let me just go and become a hustler and, hustle people for their money. And that's just wrong. So when you see passion like that, but it's not, it's being put into the wrong thing, just try to redirect it. Just be like, okay. And then
Yeah,
like, I know you're passionate about technology, but you're not cut out for it. So, okay, can you redirect this passion into entrepreneurship? You're passionate about singing, but it's not the thing for you. Can you redirect this passion into writing music, for other people, into producing music for other people, into playing an instrument? Does that make sense? Like for me, I've found that is usually the best way to deal with people like that, because people like that are the best kind of people. You want to have passionate people around you, but you just have to find a way to work with them, right? You just have to find a way to redirect the passion into something that's going to be productive, because you know that the thing they're passionate about right now, no matter how much they try, they're not going to be productive at all. So just redirect it. That's
yeah.
my advice. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because I've met up with so many people like this, and usually I'll try and nudge them in one direction.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't sat down to like bring it up and be like, hey, fam, you can't sing, do something else.
Yeah.
But usually I'll nudge them into one direction or the other. For example, I know there's lots of friends of mine back then that I had that they wanted to sing in English, right? But I could
Yeah.
see that their strength is singing in local.
I was
Because
struggling. Yeah.
yeah, because with the English, like it wasn't like the lyrics, the way they were forming their words, their pronunciations. It was getting very difficult, and I talked to them. I was like, hey, fam, just try singing in Luganda. Try singing in whatever other language it is, because I can see that's where you know exactly what you're doing. And
Yeah.
eventually, when they did, wow, like that's some of the best music I've made. In fact, I don't know if I have those songs online. I'm not even sure if I still have them, but they were very nice songs.
Yeah.
And over time, things got better and better for them. But yeah, that's that's about
Yeah,
passion.
that's very true. That's just the way to do it, man. Just got to find a way to nurture these people, to nurture them, to redirect their passion. To nudge them a little into another direction, not the opposite direction, but just another direction, and try to get their passion into something else that's similar to what they've been passionate about. Like, oh man,
Yeah,
I know
preferably in the
you
same
want,
field. Yeah.
yeah, I know you want to sing, but like, could you try
And
to
try playing
write?
drums.
Yeah, could you try playing drums? Could you try to write? Because it's that music, and you could find that they could be very fulfilled writing for people. They can maybe be able to write very good music because they're passionate about it. So
Definitely. But most of
yeah,
those things, you know, like as a kid when all of us wanted to be doctors and lawyers. Honestly, I didn't
yeah,
even know what lawyers were until I was like 12 or 13 years old. I didn't know what they were.
yeah.
And I kept seeing these kids, me, I want to be a lawyer. I'm like, why do these kids want to be lawyers? Eh?
I know, right?
Kids these days want to be, what is it, TikTok stars or YouTubers.
Yeah, YouTubers.
Like, it's scary, honestly. It's scary how um, this coming generation is going to be... it's weird because everyone is so sensitive. You can't say this, you can't say that. Kids are all
Man, tell about it. Like
addicted to
it's
their
a
phones.
very sensitive generation. You have to be careful of everything you say, how you say it, of a particular group of people. Like everything you say, be it a speech or even when you're just chilling with people, you got to be careful of what you're saying, man. You might offend a group of people that you don't even know exist. That's how sensitive this generation is.
Yeah, I know. And when they find out whatever on Twitter, they end your career. I've seen so many people that have been cancelled.
Yeah, cancel culture.
It's weird. I honestly don't understand what's going on or why this is happening. Though I feel like there's a lot of people capitalizing on this,
Yeah,
keeping the
yeah.
kids
And like
fighting each other.
more
Yeah.
often than not, you find that like people are cancelled for just saying one thing. You can't judge a person by just the worst day they've had. If all of us were judged by the worst thing we've done or the worst day we've had, then none of us would equate to anything, right?
Yeah, we'd all
Because
be,
all of us have
yeah,
these
we'd all be
little,
devils. Yeah.
like we'd all be devils, we'd all just end up in hell, but like that's not how things work. You can't judge a person but just because they say this one thing. Sometimes you don't even have perspective. Because I think like in this world today, perspective is very important. People usually say something and you just, like get it in a different way, but you didn't try to get the perspective first because
Yeah, no
everybody says
context at all.
something from their perspective, like, so try to get, like you say, try to get context, like try to get context. Why did this person say what they say? And then maybe it will make sense, but then they don't just go and cancel somebody because of one thing they say before you even try to hear them out. I think that's just, like, that's just the generation
Yeah, but I'm
being
worried.
less understanding.
I'm worried that where we're going, um, everyone is gonna want to argue about everything. It's just something simple as saying the sky is blue is gonna piss someone off, and
I know, right?
you're gonna lose your job for it. So I'm worried. And we had this discussion with Linda the other day. I'm like, if whenever what am I saying? If that I won't let my kids. I don't want to have my kids grow up in such an environment where people are always addicted to their phones. Believe me, whenever you walk into any public place now, be it a taxi, be it a restaurant, be it whatever, you just see a bunch of people just on their phones. No one is
Yeah,
talking. Kids don't know what to do. They grow up playing video games and they're just so addicted to these devices that if for some reason,
yeah,
say, we to have like say a natural disaster and power went out for 2 weeks, these kids would kill themselves because they don't know
yeah.
what they're doing.
The kids have been miserable because they don't know what else to do,
Exactly.
and there's a lot of things to do out there. And the problem for me with that is that like if we look back at biology, like the child's brain is supposed to develop the most between like years 1 and 12 or years 1 and 9, right?
Yeah,
And
very
if
young.
you're fitting them with video games at that age, then we're just going to end up with a generation of adults that are not creative at all. Adults that can't think for themselves, adults that can create or innovate or do anything. When the mantle of parenthood is passed over to our generation, we just got to be better, like, because we've seen what mistakes our ancestors have made, be it with climate change, be it with the way they've done this whole civilization and industrialization and capitalism thing, all this sensitivity thing. We just got to be a better generation, because like it's almost the mantra is almost being passed over because in other words, 23 in only 3 years, it's going to be our generation that's becoming parents. So we
Oh yeah.
just got to do better, like raise our kids better, raise our kids to, like be creative, be innovative, like look around, play around with others. Remember back then when we had time to play, man, like senior one, senior two, like after class, we would go and play, soccer, even for those of us who are now players. We, like come up with all these different languages, tickle our brains, come up with all these, cartoons in senior one,
Oh
like
yeah.
like being things like planes and things like dirt bikes. We had all these different interests, all these things we explored as kids. But like kids these days, all they do, I look at my siblings now, my little siblings now, and all they do is like be on the tablets all day. All they know is, okay, I'm going to go and study at school, and then I'm going to go home, watch TV, like play a game on my tablet, and do it over and over again until the year ends. You
Yeah.
never hear them say, do something like, okay, I'm going to do some comedy sketches. I'm going to do some cartoon sketches. Okay, me and my friend came up with this secret language. Okay, me and my buddy came up with this. No, you never hear nothing like that. And that is just wrong. And that is just scary for the future of this human civilization. And we should do better as a generation.
Because
That's me.
like these lifelong connections, most of these things like the human connection is, I can see it's slowly but surely making its way. And it's being replaced by these very, very addictive applications, things like TikTok, things like Facebook, things like Twitter, whatever.
And that is all being spearheaded by capitalism.
Exactly. And Twitter, on the other hand, is just
Because these people preying, these people are preying on the addictiveness of these technologies to make money. Like they have these meetings of how do we make sure a person spends more time on TikTok. That is the strategy meeting these people have. How do we make sure? Okay, they do things like, okay, we make these videos shorter. Just so that because they know right now for a typical kid right now, it's very hard for you to maintain their attention for more than a minute, right? Try talking to kids these days. It's hard for you to have their attention for 5 minutes. So they know that, okay, so if we are having videos that are like 5 minutes long, then this kid will just get bored of TikTok. So how do we make sure we have their attention? Make 30-second videos. So, okay, they see a video for 30 seconds, they laugh, and they see something else, they laugh. Then at the end of it all, they've spent like 5 hours on TikTok. So these people are actually preying on that to make money. And that is just wrong.
Nah, definitely.
They're like making the gap between human connection even bigger. And as innovators of the future, I think that is something we're supposed to work on. The ethics of it all, like that is something else we can talk about in technology, like the ethics of it all. Like how are we going to start holding ourselves as tech people accountable? Years ago, we never knew that we could hold people like industrialists accountable. But now look at the world now. We have to hold them accountable because they've killed the planet with all these plants that they've built, like all the fumes that they put into the atmosphere. And we never thought we had to hold them accountable because we thought these people were spearheading civilization, isn't it? But now we see that, they did a lot of harm and we can't do anything about it at this point. So, like, I think we're in a time in this technology revolution where we have to sit down and ask ourselves that how do we hold technology accountable, or the people that develop it accountable, because technology is not going to hold itself accountable. How do we make sure that the AIs we make are ethical? Because all these algorithms we make, how do we make sure they're ethical? Like how do we make sure that they're not manipulating these kids or exploiting these kids to just kill their brains for the sake of making money, to keep them on the screen for hours on end? Like how do we look into the ethics of it whole? That is my question to the world today. How do we look into the ethics of the technology today, like now?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And when Facebook announced the metaverse that they're making,
Metaphor.
it was like I honestly, I was for lack of a better word, I was just angry. I was like, wow, you just want to take every part of everyone, like just jump and throw everyone into this Ready Player One kind of thing. And
Exactly.
I'm
That's what I
worried.
was going to say.
I'm worried that this is where.
How people just spend days in there. Person just gets out to go to the toilet, to have some food, to take a shower, or not even shower at all. Just have some food and get back into this, like this Ready Player One like
Yeah, this
universe, and just
fantasy.
be
Yeah,
there for the rest of the time and just gain weight and become obese and die young. Man, like that's not a world we want to live in, is it?
no, definitely not.
And these people, like, the fun bit is that these people are not even doing at this point. People are doing a lot of things not because they're doing. At first, at the beginning of this technology revolution or this technology evolution, people are making technology to make life better, right? So, like, that's why technologies like Facebook, like WhatsApp, like all these technologies were made to make life better. And for a while, they did. But now people are just making technologies for the purpose of, making money. Like, I want to get 1 million users in order to sell ads. And that is their goal. They don't care who is affected in the process. Because I don't want to get to a point where, like, I walk outside and I don't see anybody. I want to go and hang out with a few friends, but I can't because, like, all of them are the metaverse life there. And, like, their real life out here isn't going on at all. Like, they're not living at all. And we're supposed to live life. Like, all these things that we're making are supposed to make living the life better. Like, we're supposed to make our lives better, not end our lives. And that looks like that is where technology is taking us at this point. It's trying to end life as we know it. It's trying to create a new sort of life where you live in a new sort of universe and just stop living the life you're supposed to live in.
Yeah, but
What is that?
you could argue we're already there with things like social media influencers. Like if you see the kind of life that they're living, in
Man.
quotes, it's just a fantasy. And
Yeah, fantasy.
I've had so many friends of mine, especially the girls.
Mhm.
So many of those, you see them get very depressed, and they're always angry. They're always anxious. They can't sleep because they spend hours and hours on
Yeah.
these websites, and they see all these other people.
Some of them even go ahead to try to look like people that are not even real. Nobody looks like that. Like, you don't have to mutilate your body to look like, something that's just made up. All these social media influencers are just, like trying to get the perfect picture. And this girl thinks that, okay, that person looks like that. But these people put hours into capturing that perfect picture, to capturing that thing that is not even them. Like, they put on hours of makeup. They, like, don't eat for days. Like, they make themselves sick just to look a certain way. And that is just wrong, man.
But I guess it's not even social media, I can say, because this stuff started in way back when TV became a mainstream and people would watch all these TV shows with these celebrities that all like look a certain way, and the TV,
Everybody
they're like, this
the
is
old
what
girls
people
want to look like the Kardashians.
exactly. And
Let's say social media has just made a problem that was already there just more sore.
it was just a catalyst. Yeah, it just made it more prevalent or more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll see this
Like everybody wanted.
You see these girls get very depressed and very angry. And when you try and talk to them, like, hey, look at this. And in fact, this thing has made, I have so many of my friends telling me, like, hey, Martin, it's everyone is single these days. Because, and I was watching a video the other day on YouTube, and they're saying that studies are showing that I think up to 64%, or is it 70? Don't quote me on this. But 70% of people living today, or 70% of these teens today, are gonna die or gonna live single for the rest of their life. And it's because
Damn.
of things like I was looking at one of my friends. She came up to me. She shows me this quote unquote couple on Instagram, and what the guy got for the girl, and they're living this perfect life, and it gets these expectations into these people. For example, these young girls, especially like the 12 to 14-year olds, these girls that are just starting
Yeah.
to grow or mature.
They're
And
just blossoming. Yeah.
exactly, and they see all this stuff happening, and they go into these into life expecting certain things to come from these guys. And then the guys, on
Yeah.
the other hand, the 12 to 14-year olds, are looking at all these photoshopped girls, photoshopped women online, and they're going into the world expecting that from the ladies. And what ends up
Yeah.
happening is exactly this big mismatch of these guys are expecting supermodels, and the ladies
Yeah.
are expecting their guys to do these things that they see on social media or see on TV or whatever. And you end
Yeah.
up with people that are always single, always depressed, always wondering why am I not working? Why does no one like me? Why does no one do this? And
Yeah. Two people that are together but are so much apart. You know, they're
no,
living in the same room,
they're
but
not
like
even they're
they're
not
living
even
in your world, right?
they're not even together. They just don't want to be with anyone that's less than what they see online.
That's the one they see, and what they see isn't real, man.
Exactly. You've given me an idea, actually. Yeah. I was thinking of because one of my bigger ideas is I want to go and spread aviation, because I remember there was a guy back. You remember that guy that came to our classroom, that pilot that one time? I think it
Yeah.
was in
Yeah. I remember.
2014, 2013. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, I was very inspired then, and
Yeah.
he actually connected me to some of the people um, that helped me to get where I am today. So, I mean, that was a very good thing, and I want to do that on a larger scale. Travel the
Mm-hmm.
country, spread the word, just to get more people interested, because it's very nice. But I wanted to do the same now, but for social media. So maybe go into the schools and do such, like, get these people aware, get these kids more aware of the effects and the downsides of looking at all these people and using this social media sites. Don't get me wrong, these are very good resources, but as you can
Yeah.
see, the side effect is a lot of this depression, a lot of this
Yeah.
loneliness, because everything seems so good on the other side of that screen. And when you look at
Yeah.
your life right now, you're like, oh, well, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to promote that more human, where go out and meet people, go and talk to people. Stop swiping right or swiping left or whatever it is that people do these days,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, none of it is real. And so I want to try and do something like that, or try and promote something like that, and especially in schools. Although right now, with the pandemic and everything, everyone schools
I
are
get
not,
it.
yeah, but hopefully within the
Yeah.
near future, yeah,
Yeah, that would be a pretty amazing thing to jump onto. Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
That would be pretty amazing. Like, just talk to the young generation. Let them, because the problem right now is that, remember back then, remember in senior two, senior one, like we didn't even have access to any of these devices, right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
like there were like these unwritten rules that okay, you're supposed to have a smartphone in senior six, right?
you have to go to
That is when
internet
everybody
cafe
that's when they
to.
will buy your smartphone. And it was just like that. But like now I look at my sister in senior one and she already has a phone, right? She already has a smartphone. She already has actually she has a smartphone and a tablet. So I'm like, okay, she's already being exposed to all of this 6 years earlier than I was,
Yeah,
right? So what do you expect? Like, if in 6 years she's depressed, then she's trying to mutilate her body. She's saying, okay, I don't live up to this. I want to be like that. What would you expect? This kid was exposed to all this 6 years earlier than they should have. Like back then, I didn't understand why our parents like didn't want us exposed to this device is too early, but now I do. There is a certain age that you expect a kid to be mature enough to tell the difference between what is real and what is fake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a kid that is 8 years old just isn't ready, to tell the difference, because they'll just see this and they'll just be like, I want a boyfriend like that. And no, boyfriends like that do not exist.
Yeah.
Because they're just boys like the rest of us, like they don't exist. That's just being acted out for likes and and retweets. And it's just not okay, man. We do something like that. Spread awareness, talk to these kids.
Yeah.
Make them understand what's actually happened. That would be nice.
No, definitely. Because I see that's the only way, and especially if you get them at a young age and try and explain what exactly the problem is.
Yeah.
Because it's like, as a kid, we all learned that talking to strangers is wrong because it was put into us from day one. That if you go up to an unmarked van and this guy is offering you candy, then
you better run.
you better run, eh?
Yeah, I should definitely do that. And when you're back over here, we could definitely go around to a few schools, like around the country, and try to talk to these teachers, and just have them give us some time. It can even be just 15, 30 minutes. Talk to these kids, try to make them understand what is actually happening, and make them see the difference between the real world and the social media world, and see that it is just fake.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Looking forward to that.
Anyway, Giddy, thanks a lot for coming onto this podcast that I still don't have a name for. I don't even know what I'll call it. I'll probably just name it as the podcast I don't have a name for. But
actually, that would be pretty interesting.
I know, I don't know what to call it.
We call it something like the podcast that has no name.
Oh yeah, something like that. That sounds very good.
New Year, happy 2022, and I hope that we'll be doing quite many more of this with Martin, and we'll be able to talk about many more topics like this. And if you caught something and anything we talked about, if you have a comment or if there is anything else you'd like the two of us to talk about, please leave it in the comments as well, so that next time we know what you guys want to hear. If any of you want to join the podcast as well, you can let us know, so we can do maybe a live stream next time, so you guys can be in real time and ask some questions, and we can have a good time and help some people out there. And, again, Martin, thanks for having me. And
But if you made it this far, thanks for listening, because there's nothing to watch now. But thanks for listening and enjoy.